Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, and you are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And the hosts are chatty as
Yeah.
always. And
Yeah,
some interrupted by phone calls when they try and start recording.
right?
What can you do?
Yeah.
Friday. Woo!
Yes. Oh my God. I wish I didn't work tomorrow. Ugh.
But you start a little later because you work a late shift,
Yeah, I
right?
think I start at what, like 3:15 or something stupid, and I work till 10:30. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of lame.
Sucks. Yeah. Ugh. Gonna be brutal,
Damn, damn Christmas season.
right?
Yeah. It was a long week. We hope you had a good day whenever you're listening to this, whether it's Friday when it comes out or a
Yeah.
different day when you are at work and it's like a Monday or something and you're like, I gotta get through the week. That's
Yeah.
what I listen to people talk about it, but they're like, oh, it's Friday. You're like, no, it's not. But um
Yeah. Whatever day of the week it is.
we hope this finds you well.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, especially with all the we were just saying there's shit going around, just flus, just people are getting
Yeah.
sick. It's annoying, of course, for everyone involved.
Yeah, I still have my throat, it like feels completely better, but I still have like the dry cough and
Yeah.
uh yeah, if I try
Unfortunately.
and like talk too much or too loud, like kind of in one breath or something, it'll feel like I want to cough. But other than that, I'm doing a lot better. Ears are a lot better. My hearing is basically back.
That's
Yeah.
good, honestly. I mean, we need a podcaster that can hear and speak.
Right? Oh, Jesus.
No,
Yeah.
I was saying to Kelsey, I never even thought of a lot of people have been getting sick. I heard some other podcasters have some sort of impromptu co-hosts because they had their
Yeah.
co-host get sick also, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's not just us. And also I never even thought of that, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely some shit's going around. It's that time of
Yeah.
year, I guess. But damn,
Yeah.
when it hits you hard, like that sucks. I don't wish that upon anyone.
Yes, it was brutal. Like, definitely the worst, like, cold or flu sick I've ever been. Like,
Oh
times a
yeah.
hundred. Like, the next worst is probably strep throat I had for like five
Ooh.
days, like when I was 10. So, yeah, this is
Yeah.
like 100 times worse than anything I've ever had.
I remember you considering that as the possibility at first. Yeah. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
That's
when it was
definitely
just
not
my
good.
throat. The first couple days, I thought, until, yeah, until my eyes, my ears, everything went crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, do you watch or have you seen the show that's out now called Kings of Pain? It's like in its second season, and the two guys
Oh
go
no.
and test different bites and stings and stuff for their
Oh
pain. Yeah.
no. That's brutal.
Yes. Well, actually, there was a guy who had done it first many years ago, I think now, at least a few decades. His last name was Schmidt, and he did like a pain index of like some
Mm,
biting things, I think, in like North America. And so now, yeah,
wow.
there's this show that me and Pat have been watching, and it's called Kings of Pain, and it's these two guys, this uh, American, I think, he's Rob the caveman, whatever, and then this taller Australian guy, Adam, and they like go out and get a scorpion or a centipede or a even lizards. Like they did a
Oh,
beaded dragon thing the other day, which looked like a like a Komodo dragon or well smaller than
mm,
that, but still like a big lizard. And like
yeah.
they in a controlled environment they take one and they let it bite them and then they like rate it for duration and
Jesus.
intensity and stuff. It's pretty crazy. But it's also like some sort of fun, you know, Schadenfreude or whatever, where you're like, I am enjoying their misery a little bit because they're like, oh, yep, that's it, get it off,
Yeah.
and like they're so
Oh.
like they'll be like so stoic, and then it's like, nope. It's very entertaining, I must say.
Oh, no. I have not even heard of that. Oh.
Okay, I don't know what channel we watch it on now because it's one of those things where we just got it set up on demand. Might be like
Mm.
history or something in that semi educational
Yeah.
vein.
This stuff. Discovery.
Discovery, yes, that could be it.
Probably.
Edutainment, yeah.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Hey, that's us, baby. You might just learn a little here sometimes.
Right? I've just been trying to
Oh,
get caught up on what Outlander. I was like watched a whole bunch of that recently, and then
no.
almost done
Yay.
Seinfeld. I'm like a third of the way
Ooh.
through the last season of Seinfeld. Uh yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So you've seen like basically all the classics now. That's got some
Yeah.
good rewatchability. It really
It's good.
does.
I've enjoyed it, and it's funny because before I started watching it, I hated Jerry Seinfeld. Like I didn't think
Okay.
his comedy, like I didn't like his comedy, didn't
Yeah.
like him even as like a guest on any like late night show I ever watched or like anything. And
Sure.
as soon as I started watching it, I think I was partway through season 1, and then I watched like comedians in cars getting coffee, and then it was like,
Yes.
yeah, and then it was
That's
like,
really good.
okay, I get it now. Like I get, and I like observational humor. It's like one of my favorite humor things. So I was like, yeah, I
I could
like
see
this.
that. You're
Yeah.
like kind of can see where he's coming from or something more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not
Yeah.
as annoying. I used to hate his voice and his face and the facial expressions
Oh,
and
I hate
everything.
when people try to do bad imitations of him too.
Yeah.
Because like it was such a popular show for that era. It
Mm.
just got to be where people were just like, well, I can make fun of that on SNL or whatever. And, well,
Yeah.
I do this airline peanuts, and you're like, oh my god, shut
Right?
up. But it actually it was really funny. It's like I Friends. That's the same kind of
Yeah.
era. Very similar-ish premise. You're living in New York apartments that you probably can't afford. Much more so on Friends, where you're like, how can some of them afford it,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But then, like, of course, their whole thing is, yeah, it's about nothing really, just day to day whatever. And
Yeah.
I know
Which I
with
like.
oh, it is. It's good. It's just some stuff nowadays you rewatch it and it's still funny, but you're like, that wouldn't happen nowadays with like cell phones, and there's different things like that.
Yes. I think one episode I was watching and they,
The parking lot.
oh, I
We get
love that. Yeah, that's a good one.
we just
Uh,
watched that one. Yeah, they can't find the damn car forever.
but like all the ones where they're like going to like a restaurant and they're like, can I use your
Yes.
guy's phone? I need to call my friend
Yes.
and tell them here. And I'm just like, oh god, people did that. Or going to
Yes.
somebody's house and saying, or going to a payphone and saying, I need to check my voicemail. And you're like, but how did that
Yes.
work?
It revolves around stupid, like having to make a phone call. Yes, the one where at the Chinese restaurant George wants to use the
Yeah.
pay or whatever it is. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You get it, but it's like it's harder to relate to, especially with people that never experience
Right.
that.
And it was
Yeah.
stupid because when the, like they've done the cell phone, like I want to check, like Elaine will come over or whatever and be like, I want to
Yes.
check my voicemails.
My
But then the
voicemail.
one episode,
Yeah.
um, recently, it was like in season 9, and Jerry's going out with this girl, and she is like, hold on, I need to check my voicemails. It goes to a payphone, checks her voicemails, and then in my head, I literally had the thought process of, oh my god, you could check your voicemails from a payphone. That's so handy. Why don't we have that today? You could check your voicemails anywhere you are. And then it went, oh my god, your cell phone. Like,
Yeah, it's even easier. You don't have to remember a passcode or anything, probably. I
right?
don't know.
I was
I don't
like,
know exactly how you did that then, but
yeah. It was like,
I do
well, your
remember my
cell
dad
phone
having a
already does
pager.
that.
What?
Yeah. It was like, yeah, you already have your cell phone, and your cell phone will
Mhm.
already have your voicemails on it.
But yeah, then
Like,
everyone can reach you on your cell phone now, so you never like need to check your messages as badly because you've just
yeah,
ignored the call or screened it or whatever.
yeah,
Because they're all telemarketers.
yeah. Stuff like
Oh my
that
god.
is like, so funny. Just like that one episode of Friends where Chandler gets his laptop for work and it has like Excel on it, and he's like, I can change the color of the columns, and it's like a big deal.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the one where there's like a blackout and Chandler gets stuck in an
uh
ATM vestibule with Jill Woodacre or
yeah.
Goodacre or whatever, and he
I'm
can't
in
text
a
them, so he's
vestibule.
yeah, he's trying to like say it without saying it. Jill
Yeah.
Goodacre, and Joey's like, I know immediately you're in a festival with Jill Goodacre.
Yeah.
Oh my god, some sort of model. I don't
Classics.
know, you guys. Oh yeah. Everybody's
Yeah.
like tuned out that doesn't like those shows. But anyway.
If you're like me and you didn't think you'd like it, give it a shot. I mean, I have to say all the
Oh yeah.
characters are kind of crap, like they're just crappy people, but it's
I
funny the
mean,
stuff they get up
yeah.
to.
I yeah,
Like,
they don't ever really claim to be otherwise though.
yeah, which is
At
awesome.
least. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you just watch an episode and you're like, wow, they learned literally nothing and not much happened, and like, next episode, play. Like,
Yes. Um they're so good. Well, if you're new here, did we say our names yet? I can't remember.
I think so.
It's
Yeah.
if not, I'm Alana. Oh,
I'm
wait,
Kelsey,
we are. That's us.
and
And
I
this
have
might be
a
episode 82. 82.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
might have Gordo's tail smacking the mic in a second.
I
I
might have
have a
seen his
Gordo.
gray little face come into frame. Yeah.
I don't know. His tail is like swishing around the base of the mic. Like,
Oh, I love when they
yeah,
do the little swish and flick with their tails.
swish and flick.
Swish and flick. Oh my god, I've actually been watching, not to go on another tangent, but I have been watching the newest season of The Crown on Netflix, which had
Mm.
the lady who plays uh oh god, what is her name on Harry Potter? The
Dolores
Professor
Umbridge.
Umbridge. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Imelda Staunton or whatever her actual name is. She's playing the Queen in the
yeah.
latest season. And yeah, there's actually some pretty famous people in it. I think Timothy Dalton played her sister Margaret's former love interest,
Mm.
but I only know who that is from like watching movies with Pat, where he was like, "That's Timothy Dalton," and I was like, "Oh, who is that?"
I don't know who that is at all. No.
Well, he was somebody famous. Was it Bond or something similarly sexy? Let me double check.
It'll mean nothing to me. I've never seen a single James Bond movie.
No, it might not have been Bond. He's a British actor.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, well, no, that is why he's famous, because he was one of the Bonds. That's why.
Mm,
So people will know him. People in our age demographic of listeners,
yeah.
which some of them are
Other
older
than
than
me.
us.
Yeah.
It's always weird to think of that, where you're like, these people listen to us that are older and younger and new countries we got this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy sometimes to think about your voice going out into the whole world.
Right? Yeah, that shocks me. Like, how did you? I want to know how you found us and
Yeah.
what episode's your favorite. And
Ooh, I
yeah.
love that. Message us. No one ever does.
Yes.
Instagram, I will write you back. Um,
Yes, you're good at that.
we might have a Twitter, but I don't always go on Twitter except for
Yeah,
when I
no.
get news headlines at my work Twitter thing. Like today when it said that Black Faced Friday was trending, and I was like, what does that mean? And it had to do with
Oh,
Justin Trudeau testifying, whatever, for a hearing about him invoking the Emergencies Act. It's a whole politics
yeah.
thing that most people are probably not interested in. But anyway, also he dressed up in blackface once, so that's why they were like, "It's
Yes.
Black Friday," and he's our prime minister is testifying, and that's how it came about. Oh my
I was
god, what
watching
do we
something the other day and they were talking about Trudeau and
do?
oh,
Yeah.
it was the new Trevor Noah like stand up thing, and he was talking about how like
Oh,
the worst
okay.
thing that Trudeau's ever done is like pretend he was Indian in India, basically. And then it was like, are you forgetting the blackface he literally wore like at least once? For some reason I feel like it was twice they found or something.
Wait, but
I was
did the
like,
show say that, or did you say that to yourself? Are you forgetting the
I kept saying
blackface?
that like because
Oh,
this new like Netflix special, it was filmed probably only like within the last 6 months to like possibly a year. It was like that's like old
okay,
news. And I was like,
true.
I'm pretty sure going to India and like wearing like India garb and stuff like that as to like show that you're like I
It was
guess.
like, oh, it was like a little cringy, but you could see he
Yes.
was just trying to respect their culture and get into it. I don't think yeah, it wasn't on the
Yeah.
same level as the old picture of him that keeps surfacing where he like
Yeah.
dressed in blackface for a Halloween or whatever, which is
Yeah, and it
not
was like
good. I'm not
no, and
condoning
it was
that.
like his hands and everything. It was like everywhere that was
Yeah.
visible. It was black.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, him going to India to talk with like dignitaries and stuff there is, that's not quite the same.
No, no, no. And he just tried to participate in their traditional dances and stuff. That's not even the stuff that most people get super mad about,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like if you ask Pat, which I don't recommend you do, because he will talk about it. He's been watching the hearings every morning, and not that I don't care, it's just sometimes I am like, I have my own worries about, like, I need to put gas in my car before I can worry about these political things, sort
Yeah.
of thing. But like, yeah, obviously there's been other stuff that's gone on, like where we had protests here with um truckers and different people participating, and then they like evoked the Emergencies Act, and like we're like, oh, it was threats of violence, and people were weaponized. Well, what he said from the clips I saw today was like people were weaponizing their cars and trucks, and we didn't know what was in the trucks and cars, whether it was kids or guns,
What?
or people were using children as human shields. That's what he's saying, and I was like, what? Like, really?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. But like, you don't know, because people like, whatever site you're watching, people will spin it whatever way they want, and it's It's hard to know these days what the damn truth is. That's all I'll say, I
Yeah.
guess. um, Sorry for the tangent if we didn't cut it out, but welcome to episode of the shit show 82. Yes,
Yeah.
road rage crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here, you guys. We're here. Kelsey's voice is better. We've got some horrible crimes to talk about because these are not going to be
No.
very nice ones, probably. People
Mine's
get a
not.
little insane about politics or vehicles or driving.
Yeah.
I get a little insane if people don't drive the speed limit. I'm just saying.
It can be dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're putting on their brakes, they're stopping suddenly at the bottom of a hill. Fuck off, people. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted a little fun fact, I don't know if I showed you yet this little pin I got when my mom was here and we went to the little witchery market and we had to stand outside in the cold for hours and Rain almost lost her mind because there was a big long
Oh my
lineup
God.
again.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. So that always kind of sucks. But then yeah, well, my mom and I were
Oh,
wandering around, looked at things, and then we saw these little pins. This is a
with
little
a
crow.
knife. Ha!
Yes! He is a crow with a knife, and he's actually based off of a specific crow.
In BC, in Vancouver, right?
Yes!
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Yes.
him? His name is Canuck the Crow, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I actually had not heard of him at all when she told me the quick little story when we were
Oh,
buying
yeah.
the pin. Yeah. Yeah, we've
Swoops
never
down with
talked
a
about it.
knife at people.
He what?
He was like in the parking lot of like a grocery store or something, and he like picked up a knife off the ground and would like swoop down at people with the knife in his mouth. And I'm like,
Okay, that wasn't exactly what I heard when I read his Wikipedia, but it was
okay, what
close.
did it say?
It well, what the girl said first was that like he picked up a knife that was in a crime scene and flew
Oh,
off with it. So that's why he ended up so famous because they were like, "What the hell? This crow just took off with this knife." But basically, yeah, same thing. He flew off with it, and then I think he dropped it after.
oh,
Um, it's
evidence.
it's evidence. He was a northwestern crow from East Vancouver, British Columbia. Well, according to Wikipedia, became locally well known due to his close relationship with people and various stunts, including stealing a knife from a crime scene and riding the Vancouver Sky Train.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he got on to like the LRT or whatever and like got off at a different stop and just went on his way. Honestly, it's worth a read. And I had another podcast tell me something like that once where they're like, you should read the Wikipedia page. And I was like, oh, don't give me homework. But then they told me a few tidbits and I was like, God damn it, I'm going to read this Wikipedia page because it sounds so good. And he has got quite a lifetime. I don't know. Like there's more than a few
Yeah.
paragraphs on this Canuck the Crow.
I remember hearing and seeing posts on Facebook about it because it was a few
Oh,
years ago. Um, yeah.
okay. Yeah, 2015. What it
Yeah.
says for his notoriety as a hatchling Canuck was pushed from his nest. He was rescued and raised by a young boy in Vancouver who took care of him until he could fly and attached a red zip tie to his leg before letting him free in 2015. Okay, yeah, a few
Okay,
years
I was
ago
gonna say, how do they know it's the same crow?
now. Yeah. Okay, it's not that long of an article actually, but yeah, I guess he's had a few interesting encounters in his life, and
Yeah.
now I have a pin of him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, gotta love those little farmers markets, and this one it's called the
Yeah.
Witchery Market because it's all these little cool vendors. Yeah, the cult
Yeah.
stuff. We always try to go, but I wish it was closer to here. We got to go to the one that's closer. I think there's one that's closer to my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Easier to get to. Um, but yeah, I'm ready for the
Yeah.
inevitable road rage incident.
Jesus. He almost knocked the lamp over. Like, ugh. Just
There's a cat
fucking go to
rage incident.
go to sleep. Gordo can has sleep. Gordo can has nap.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So I did put a couple pictures in the drive
Oh
first.
yes. I did
And
notice.
my case takes place in Kent, England.
Oh.
And yeah,
Going across the pond.
it's pretty popular. You might have heard it before, and some of the listeners might have heard it before because it looks like it's been covered on quite a few podcasts just because of one of the people involved is like has a very interesting background and like history, which I kind of will touch on, but because he's the perpetrator, I didn't want to like glorify him and like make it all about him, because I unfortunately could find very little to basically no information about the victim, which
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. That can be difficult sometimes. Which
Yeah.
maybe just has to do with their privacy of their family. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they probably didn't want to like do too much publicity or be out in the public after what happens, but yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So first I'm going to talk about the perpetrator. Uh, who?
Hmm.
So keep in mind this
Okay.
guy's a jerk, which we will kind of learn right away, as his name
Probably.
was or is Kenneth Noye. I didn't look up how to pronounce his last name. Noye. Noye, I think.
Oh yeah, probably.
And he is described as a career criminal. Has a
Oh.
very, very long rap sheet. Uh, insane Wikipedia. And when you read timelines of everything he's done, it's like bonkers. How much I had to cut out.
Oh.
It's ridiculous. But
That's not a good sign.
yeah, uh, one thing it just basically said he was out on parole for his part in the legendary Great Train Robbery, which now I'm realizing I forgot to Google. Uh, but there's some other stuff
Hmm.
he's involved in that's also very famous. That
Really?
yeah,
He has a long Wikipedia page, longer than Mr.
yeah.
Crow, apparently. The
uh,
Great Train Robbery is what it was called?
yeah, it said the legendary Great Train Robbery.
Sounds like a
So
movie.
right, train robbery.
All
Uh,
right, I'll see if I can pull up the basics.
yeah, I'm like I don't know. Um, so I think that's maybe when the like road rage incident happened is when he was out on parole for this, but he was in and out of prison for so many things. Okay.
When I tried to
Uh,
Google it, it was like the Great Train Robbery Brutal was what came up as the
oh,
most
it doesn't give me a year
searched.
or anything from it. It was just what it said in one article, so I was like, okay. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, maybe oh, I'll just leave it
probably
then.
doesn't matter. So while Kenneth was
There's
young,
some things.
in secondary school, he ran what was described as a protection racket with his classmates. Uh, yeah, I
Okay.
don't know who they were like protecting people from, but yeah, he got in trouble for it.
Themselves. They are the bullies.
Probably. He
Oh.
later left school at age 15. He spent a year in prison after being caught selling stolen bikes, after he and some others were altering their appearance and color. So they were sent to prison for a year. They
Oh,
also committed some other minor crimes that weren't listed, but were kind of lumped together.
okay.
This is basically just as brief as a summary as I could get on like his history.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
with his background, he was a police informant for many years, where he was able to
Oh,
build a pretty strong network and connection with a whole bunch of corrupt police officers. And
okay. Great.
yeah, uh, in the 1980s, he became a Freemason after being proposed admission by two other police officers. Um, it said
Oh,
that at this
that's
time there
kind
was
of cool.
a whole lot of police officers, so I don't know if they were corrupt or
Hmm.
not, but they proposed him, and he was accepted as a Freemason, and his occupation was listed as quote builder, even though it's made up. He's not a builder.
Wait, his occupation when
It's
telling
listed,
the Freemasons? Like,
yeah, is
why?
like builder. It didn't say
Because,
anything more
like,
than builder.
oh, because, like, maybe I would say, I would wonder if that was, like, their entry level. Because they're, like, literally at their roots, like, builders, like, masons, like, bricklayers.
Yeah,
Like, that's how they, like, kind of started from. Interesting.
I
It's
don't
just
know. It
like,
just said it listed his occupation as builder.
yeah,
So,
that's very generic. I don't know.
so he was there for a few years. His membership ended in 1987 after he had failed to pay his subscription for 2 years in a row.
Oh,
Um, so
okay.
they kind of like ended his membership, but he wasn't kicked out until eventually he was actually kicked out from the Freemasons when they discovered he had a criminal record.
Oh, that was a hard
Yeah,
kick out then.
yeah.
It wasn't just like,
Um,
your membership fees are due. You're
yeah,
in
he was like,
suspended status.
yeah, basically. Um, in 1985, he was acquitted for the murder of a police officer that occurred on his property after the officer was given the task of surveilling him, and Noye caught him like on his property watching him. He stabbed
Oh,
this police officer 10 times, and then this gentleman died 2 hours later. Um,
oh my
yeah, and he was
God.
acquitted for this. And then,
Jesus.
mhm,
It's like, wow.
yeah.
Just for looking at your property. I don't know. That seems intense.
Well, he was like on his property, and then he's like basically watching like the house. Like he was supposed to be like undercover, secretly monitoring him, for
I
probably his like
guess. Yeah.
criminal stuff he was doing. uh,
Jeez.
so that happens. He's acquitted. A year later, in 1986, he was convicted of handling stolen goods from what's called the Brinks Mat robbery, um, which was, I believe, like a bank robbery, uh, during which six
Okay.
armed men stole a huge quantity of gold bullion worth 26 million pounds in 1983.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and Noy was basically given the task of like melting the gold bricks down into like other things that they could then
Okay.
launder. So that's it.
Oh
What
yeah.
he was doing in handling it. So that's a very like famous thing. uh,
That's smart.
After
You can't really
his
just go paying for things with big bars of gold.
right, yeah, so
That's hard.
26 million pounds they stole.
Wow.
Uh, it said that
Like
like
pounds, like
dollars, like
okay,
English
like
dollars,
British
pounds.
British pound.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I wasn't sure if you meant like pounds, like weight. You know what I
no.
mean? Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah, they basically raided his house. They found, I think they said 8 more of the gold bricks left, and then a whole bunch of like spelting stuff. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So they charged him with
Hmm.
the conviction of handling stolen goods because they traced it back to the robbery. And after his conviction in court, one source said he shouted to the jury, "I hope you all die of cancer."
Oh, nice.
And after
That's a
this, it
half-assed curse if ever I heard one.
right, uh, only slightly more creative than "I hope you all go to hell." Uh, and
You
for
suck.
this, yeah, for this conviction, he served 8 years of his 14-year sentence. There was a bunch of
Mhm.
stuff that happened while in prison. Apparently, he worked out a shit ton and got really buff. I don't know. I skipped all that. There
Yeah,
was
that that
multiple
that goes
articles.
without saying. No, what?
There was multiple articles about like like his cellmates and stuff describing his workout regimen, and I was like, "What the fuck am I
Oh
reading right
no.
now?"
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah, so that's basically, I skipped a whole bunch. That's like the bare bones about what you need to know about what Noy like is like as a person.
Huh.
Um, Really, the only information I could get about the victim, his name is Stephen Cameron. He was 21. He had a 17-year-old fiance named Danielle Cable, and basically, I know Steven's parents' names, and that's it. Like literally nothing
Hmm.
else. Uh,
Yeah, that sucks when you can't give any details on their personal life or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, cause yeah, I do that too. Where I'm like, I want to, cause you want to humanize and relate to these people that you don't really know, other than just a name, and then you like can't find anything, and especially in cases
yeah.
like this.
Like
Yeah.
Steven, it sucks. Steven doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Um, Anything I looked at,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, everything I looked at when you type in his name, it just comes up with information about Noy, and his life,
Hmm.
or it comes up with articles about Steven's dad, which we'll get to. But even the articles and
Yeah.
interviews that Steven's dad did, there was nothing personal ever mentioned about Steven. Um,
That's too
so
bad. It seems like, yeah, we're always, oh, let's do a deep dive, and then people look into the psyche of the killer or whatever to try and
yeah,
understand, and then yeah, just the victim or whatever gets overshadowed. Yeah.
yeah. So I did try, but that's really all I found.
Okay.
So we cut to May 19th, 1996, and 17-year-old Danielle is driving Steven's van uh, while the couple is on sort of a mini road trip to London to buy bagels. I don't know how far away it is that they're
London.
driving to buy
Where are they?
bagels. It just said Kent, England. I didn't look up where specifically that is.
Oh, okay. Well, no, but just I couldn't remember if it was like also we have a London in Ontario, Canada. So
Oh
sometimes
no,
I want to make sure.
it's in
I'm like,
England.
wait, which London are they driving to?
I have
Most
to
of the
take a
time it's the
picture.
big London, but
I have to
what?
take a picture of Gordo right now. He's being
Oh,
hilarious.
oh, is he?
He's literally laying. So my screen is like this with your face there, and he's like this against it. So his face is like literally right
Oh.
beside your face, like, and he's just
He's
staring
all
at me, like
smushy.
he's staring at me. Yes. Okay, that's what he was doing.
Oh my god.
But when
How
I
can
try
you
and look
look
at
at
you,
that
he's just,
computer? Look at me. I'm so cute.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's very cute. When I look at you, he's like, there. Okay. Yeah, so they're gone to
I
try and
well, that reminds me of one from because on Live Laugh Larceny, Trevin's got a what is the kind of cat? He's a Siamese or something like that. Like he looks
oh, he's a rag doll.
oh, okay, because um his cat Freddy looks quite similar to
Mm,
Gordo, I would say. Like I think he's a
yeah,
Siamese or something. He's got very
yeah,
blue
he's
eyes and
Siamese like
whatever.
coloring to him, I think.
Um Oh, okay, because yeah, I was telling them I'm like I had to comment on their post or whatever, and I was like, Gordo and Freddie look a lot alike. I just want to say
Aw.
is what I said on their post, and it's true. He's like, because it's the blue eyes and like that look of like, hey,
Yes, slightly
yeah,
derpy. When he looks at you straight on, he's like sort of cross-eyed. Um,
yeah. I'll show you on the
yeah.
Instagram if I can.
Yeah. So, Danielle and Steven are driving to London to buy bagels. I don't know how far away it is. These bagels,
Okay.
yeah. Uh, it said that Danielle was not used to driving Steven's vehicle, and there's differing sources on how the accident, or if there even was a specific accident, like occurred. So
Okay.
some things say that because she wasn't used to driving the vehicle, she either cut off Noy, like in traffic, or
Okay.
possibly he cut her off and she rear-ended him. Um,
Hmm.
Something like
Either
that.
way, someone got
Yeah.
pissed.
Another kind of conflicting story is it says that um, the confrontation either occurred when both drivers pulled off to the side of the road or were simply just stopped at a red light that was on a roundabout. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So it did say that Noy got out of his vehicle and approached the van and the couple and confronted Stephen, mainly, who is in the passenger seat and was not driving. Um,
Okay.
Stephen gets out of the vehicle and a physical fight starts. And many sources say that Stephen got the upper hand over Noy, which made Noy angry. So he left the fight, went back to his car, and returned with a 9-inch knife.
Oh my
Where,
god, no.
yeah, he proceeded to stab Stephen twice in the chest before calmly getting back in his car and just driving away from the scene, leaving like
What?
Stephen there. Some said like on the side of the road, with like Danielle there.
Like,
Yeah,
why did he have such a big fucking knife?
no idea.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's all the information I have about like the actual altercation, really.
Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah, so Danielle's there. I assume she's probably the one that called like the police or ambulance. Steven's
Yeah.
parents, his mom Tony, and his dad, who's also named Kenneth, received the news. They rushed to the hospital to see Stephen. Unfortunately, they arrived too late, and Stephen had already died from his injuries. Um,
Oh.
yeah, very sad. Um,
Yeah, like his parents didn't get there in time even to say
from what
goodbye.
I read, yeah.
Damn. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's really shitty.
Yeah. Uh, Unfortunately, the rest is basically all about Noy again. uh,
Mm-hmm.
After Stephen's death, Noy ended up fleeing the country in a private jet that was allegedly provided by another Brinks-Mat thief. So that big, huge 26 million pound robbery. This was a private jet that was like provided by one of the other supposed robbers. Um,
I
yeah,
already almost forgot there was a robbery.
right.
I was like, "Wait, what? Am I watching the same show?" No, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, so
Weird.
yeah, he ends up leaving in this fancy private jet with a suitcase full of cash. This was all arranged ahead of, like, basically immediately. He also
Mhm.
arranged for some of his criminal, like, contacts to dispose of his Land Rover Discovery that he had been driving the day of the accident. So that was, like, found
Oh.
later. And he tried to make a getaway. He ended up flying into Spain, which at the time it was said that it was a known hangout for wanted criminals.
Oh, no. We're
Yeah.
known for harboring criminals.
Right?
We
Yeah.
have weak extradition laws. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what Spain
Yeah.
does. I'm sorry, Spain.
Um, yeah, so Noy didn't really account for just how much publicity the case would attract, though.
Hmm,
Um,
really?
so, because it was basically like a hit and stab and run. Like, they didn't technically know who Noy was. He hadn't been identified by name, and
Yeah.
police initially were searching for Anthony Francis, that was an alias that was used by Noy. It didn't say exactly how they got this name.
Mhm.
Um, because when they finally identified that it was Noy that they were looking for, it was after his Land Rover had been discovered because it matched the description of the vehicle that had left the scene. And they found his
Ah.
name like registered to that vehicle. That's how they knew it was Noy. It didn't say how they got the name Anthony Francis um,
Well,
in the
from my
beginning.
cases, I would guess if it was they have to just rely on tips for that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah, and
Um,
otherwise, what else do you have to go on? Yeah,
yeah.
nothing.
But now they do know who they're looking for. Uh, and he ended up being located. Unfortunately, it was 2 years later in Spain, and he was held in Spain. And then in that time, Stephen's fiance Danielle Cable, who would now be about 19, and had witnessed Stephen's death and the stabbing, she was secretly flown out to Spain by police, and she was there to positively identify Noy as like the perpetrator.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so she did that, and Noy was then arrested at that time, for the actual like murder.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Noy
crazy.
was extradited back to England 9 months after this and finally put on trial for Stephen's murder almost a year later. So basically 4 years like after the stabbing took place, he's finally on trial.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if that's short or long in comparison to other cases like that.
Right?
It's hard to tell
I don't know.
sometimes.
It
Yeah.
always seems to be like more than 2 years or so. Like,
Right. Like, I wonder if sometimes
yeah,
just getting to court and all that rigmarole
yeah,
just in the end
I
takes
think
about 2
so.
years. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so now they're at trial. A different witness to Stephen's stabbing, named Alan Decabral, he declined protection, like witness protection,
Mhm.
and he was actually later found shot dead in his car. It had happened in broad daylight in front of shoppers in a car park. He was shot through his open window while he was parked in there, in broad daylight in October of the year 2000. So, like,
Oh my god.
um, I think around the trial, he had already testified at the trial at this point.
Really? What the
Yeah.
fuck? And, like,
Um,
it can't be unrelated. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Oh, that's shitty.
So, yeah, he had testified at the trial, um, that Noy was there. He had seen the fight between Noy and Stephen Cameron on the motorway slip road, and he told the jury that he saw Noy lunging forward with a knife and stabbing Cameron. Um,
Damn.
Yeah. Decabral also himself, however, had an extensive criminal record as well as many criminal contacts. Police weren't really sure why he was specifically killed, but they do believe he was killed by a professional hitman. Uh, so they know it was like a
That's the
clean
witness
job.
still? Or
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
it
um,
seems pretty bold. Broad
yeah.
daylight. Like that's so scary.
Connection with his murder and Noye could never be like proven, but he had received death threats related to his testimony at the trial. Um, and like specifically basically like saying like you squealed on us, like kind of stuff.
Hmm.
uh but he did have like there was like gun running, drugs and stuff in his past, so like it could be related
Okay.
to that, but it's never been said one way or another. um
Right.
After the
Hard to
trial,
say.
but before he was killed, he did notably get quoted as saying, "I look over my shoulder every time I go into Sainsbury," which was
Oh.
actually Sainsbury car park where he was later shot and killed. Which is pretty creepy.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought that
Yeah,
was like
it's like
a I thought it was a grocery store or something when you said I was like, "Oh, Sainsbury's. Yeah, I've heard of that."
yeah. This said
Oh, okay.
Sainsbury's car park, so maybe it's just their
Oh.
parking lot and then it's the Sainsbury grocery store.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they do say car park where we would say, like, parking lot or parking
Yeah.
garage or whatever here usually.
Yeah, so he
Mm.
was specifically quoted as saying, like, I look over my shoulder every time I go there, and that was specifically the place where he ended up getting killed.
Huh.
Um, Witnesses to
Damn.
the murder at the retail park said that they heard Decabral beg for his life before a young man in a woolly hat shot him. Um,
He
yeah.
was just wearing a woolly toque? Was there a bauble
Yeah,
on top?
I don't know. Yeah. During Noy's trial, he tried to claim that he acted in self defense. He said that he
Okay.
fled the scene, like drove away after he stabbed Stephen, because the police hated him and he was afraid that he wouldn't get a fair trial. That's why I went to Spain with a suit, like with a suitcase full of
That's
money. Uh,
well, and even without that, that's frustrating because if something is self-defense, you would hope you would still do the right thing afterwards and call it in, whether or not the person's still alive, like just so that
right?
justice is actually done and like you do your due diligence. Like
And I
you
don't
don't just
really,
say like, "Oh, it was self-defense," and then
right?
I ran off with all their money and like killed their
Yeah.
dog and took their car. Yeah.
uh, And it's like, yeah, you're definitely not going to get a fair trial. You've been a criminal since you were like fucking 15. Like, fuck off. Uh,
Yeah. I don't know what county you're gonna have to move to before you get a fair trial where no one's heard of you if you're gonna be that
yeah.
notorious.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a shit? Like, buddy, you don't deserve a fair trial. I don't care. Um, so Noy was eventually convicted after the jury deliberated for almost 8.5 hours, and he was sentenced to life behind bars. The judge, however, at this point didn't specify a minimum time that he should remain in prison, but later made what's called a written report that recommended he serve at least 16 years.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
So like
He,
the minimum
yeah.
they want.
So that's
Okay.
when the minimum was set. It was like a little bit later. He made several unsuccessful appeals. I won't get into. It was pretty boring, but there was like multiple. Uh,
Fair enough.
he was later told by the High Court that he had to serve his minimum 16 years before he could be considered for parole. He was
Okay.
released on parole in 2019, so he is free and out as of 3 years ago at age
Oh.
72 after serving 21 years in prison. So he
Oh
served like
wow.
longer than
Okay.
that, yeah. um,
He's probably calmed down a little then.
yeah, I mean 72, but I mean still a career criminal. He was in and out of prison before that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. That you could be just already hardened enough,
yeah.
and then jail's just gonna make it worse.
uh, from Wikipedia, there was, well, from sources, there was like differing things. So some sources said that he was released when the parole board said he no longer posed a significant risk to the public and that he had proven his ability to
Hmm.
now control his emotions, had been
Okay.
working through that. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the exact opposite side, from other sources along with Wikipedia, quoted the parole
Oh,
board said
sorry.
that
It just got a little auto-tuny for a minute. Other sources
oh
on Wikipedia, you said?
yeah, so there's some other sources along with Wikipedia that
Okay.
said the parole board said that his release remained a risk due to quote his readiness to carry and use weapons and because Noye was quote not being able to resolve arguments reasonably at key moments as he did not always control extreme emotions well. So it's like, which one is
Not
it? Can he control
uh
his emotions and doesn't pose a risk, or he can't control his emotions and he remains a risk due to his readiness to carry and use weapons? Like,
right, right.
which one is it?
He's completely volatile or not at all.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah.
weird.
That is weird.
um,
Also, I don't know why our audio went weird there. Sorry.
yeah.
Apologies if any of that makes it in. But yeah, it was like I was trying to listen to you and then it was like auto tune. And I was like, what? Or like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
weird.
sometimes when we used to record on Zoom and you get that kind of whatever um warp.
Yeah. Uh, then also, it just seems like Noye's family kind of is shitty. Um,
Oh,
I think it's before, yeah, it was definitely before he went to prison. He had gotten married at some point. Um, and they had him and his wife, I didn't write her name down. They live in Cornwall, the East Cornwall town of Low. Um,
oh.
and together they have two sons, one of whom, who is named Brett, also seems kind of shitty. He was banned in 2013 from being a company director for at least 21 years for his part in a £2.5 million investor deception scheme that involved a rat poison company. I didn't look into
Oh,
that further, but yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Little corruption on his part too.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
was too busy trying to formulate a joke when you said he lived in a place called Low, and then I was thinking about that song Friends in Low Places.
oh,
I don't know.
I
Carry
think
on.
it's
It's
pronounced low. It's Looe.
Looe. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it
I don't know.
it's the United Kingdom. It could be
Yeah.
really, any related to Gaelic or any of those different spelling languages.
Yeah. Stephen's father, Kenneth Cameron, had repeatedly tried to block all of Noye's various appeal attempts that he made, as well as
Okay.
attempts to move to what they said were open air prisons. I think that just means prisons with like less security, basically.
Okay.
So he
Yeah,
was
I
trying
think
to
so.
block all these. Um, there was a letter that he wrote to Justice Secretary that read, "A leopard cannot change its spots, and Noye should not be allowed out of prison while he's alive." Um,
Well, okay. It's hard to say if you haven't been in there with them.
yeah.
But
It also said, "Please block this recommendation and do what is right for us, the victim in his evil crime." Um, so that was like trying to block one of his transfers to like one of these lower security prisons.
oh, okay.
And one source did say, didn't like talk about it in the article, but it was in one of like the captions, basically said that um the dad, Kenneth Cameron, was really mad, specifically after Noye was at some point transferred to a prison that was right near the Cameron family's home. So he was like transferred to be like right near them, and that like specifically made
Oh,
them really angry.
yeah, I suppose. That's
Yeah,
odd. Whether or
yeah,
not it's like right next door, still, I get it.
yeah. In 2016, Tony Cameron, who was 73, Stephen's mother, she passed away um, after catching her arm on a bush in the garden and contracted a superbug.
Oh
I
my
just feel,
God, what?
yeah, that's how I felt. Like I don't even know. What are you doing, Gordo?
It was a
I don't.
combination, to be honest, of the catching her arm on a bush comment. I'm waiting for the rest
Yes.
of it, like what? And then she got gangrene in the cut, and we had to cut it off. And then I saw like a
Yeah.
tail or something flip up
Yeah.
to my
Gordo
field of
keeps trying
vision
to
on your
stretch, and
your
then his like
camera.
feet. Yeah. Awkwardly, one goes behind the laptop screen, the other one comes in front, and then he's just like straddling the laptop while laying down. I don't
Oh,
know.
he's just like, notice me.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's
Uh,
crazy.
so that was in 2016. Her ashes were interned with Stevens, and Kenneth Cameron said that they were close in life. Or sorry, they were so close in life that it seemed right to put them together in death, which is nice.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
in 2017, Mr. Cameron suffered a cardiac shock and was diagnosed with heart disease, asthma, and prostate cancer.
Oh,
Like, I
jeez.
just feel so bad for this entire family. Like,
That's a triple whammy.
like reading
Oh
all of
my
this
God.
really just broke my heart for like everything they went through. Um,
Also, was that just like the first time he went to a doctor? They were like, you have all these things.
yeah,
It's just one of those men that are like, I'm fine. I don't need to go to the doctor.
right.
Yeah.
That same year in 2017, he suffered a heart attack and was quoted as saying that he was upset that he had survived, which also breaks my heart.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, get a
Um,
therapist.
yeah.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
tragic.
in 2019, their dog passed away. Sorry, I
Oh,
laughed.
no, it just keeps getting worse. I don't know what to do anymore either.
Oh,
It's
it's
like,
just,
okay,
yeah, it's
great.
gonna keep getting worse. In
No.
2020, after, yeah, one source said that in 2020, Noye was seen at the spot, like where he had seen, like where he had stabbed Stefan. Um,
Okay.
Something said that he had posed for pictures. I don't know if that was at the spot or when he was just out in public. But he was like witnessed like posing for pictures with people that wanted to take pictures with him and like all this stuff. So that
Okay.
must have been pretty hard to deal with. As for him being like seen on the spot where he had stabbed Stephen, uh, Mr. Cameron said, "It's like noise walking on Stephen's grave. I feel sickened." Uh,
I keep having to realize you're not saying noise, like the word noise.
oh, no.
When you say Noy is walking on savoring. I know it's
Yeah.
so weird. It's one of those weird names that Okay, but like I get what
Yeah.
he's saying. Yeah, he just wants his peace, and then his
Yeah.
trauma just keeps getting brought back up.
Yeah.
Damn.
Uh, Heartbroken over the deaths of basically his wife and his son, as well as being like upset about what was going on with Noy. Kenneth, unfortunately, and like very sadly, ended up taking a fatal overdose and died in his retirement home at the age of 75. I think
Oh,
sometime in
jeez.
2020. Um,
Oh my God, that's recent.
yeah.
Wow.
Uh, there was a coroner, Katrina Hepburn, that said Mr. Cameron's mental health had been deteriorating since the death of his wife. In his last
Oh.
will, he had written, I wish to be cremated and my ashes interned with those of my late wife and my late son uh, at St. Mary's Church in Kent, which, I mean,
Oh.
nice for the family to be together again, but I feel so heartbroken over like everything that they went through.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And then it breaks the whole family like that. Yeah,
right? Yeah.
it's bad. It's so sad.
My only other update I have is short. It's actually about Danielle Cable. Um,
Okay.
so she actually testified at the trial as well to like basically the shock of police and everything, especially after shortly after the trial and everything, like the other witness was murdered.
Right.
Yeah, she at
Yeah.
what at that time would have been 21. She testified like in front of Noy at the trial with like his colleagues, friends, everybody present. So that's pretty gutsy considering what kind of people he's friends with, like fucking corrupt cops and all this shit. Um,
True. Yeah, I forgot about the
yeah,
context of the other witness legitimately probably being murdered.
yeah.
Like, that's
So
insane.
she bravely like testified to what she witnessed and then like probably had to testify again about like identifying him in Spain. She was given police protection and ended up having to be given a new identity and entering the witness protection program.
Oh my
um,
God.
yeah. So she was praised by police for her courage to give evidence at the trial well in front of Noye and his associates. Uh, the only other thing, obviously, there's no updates about her other than one article that just said that to this day, her security remains so tight that she's only able to see her mom twice a year. So and that's like
No.
literally 22 years ish, like since the trial. I don't know when that update's from or what, but
That's such a punishment for someone who was just trying to do the right
mhm,
thing.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so
It
really
breaks
like
my heart.
right? It like
Yeah.
broke apart like everybody that was involved. I wish I had more information about like Steven's family or his life or even Danielle, but yeah, that's really all I could
Yeah.
find.
Well, I get that. It's sometimes hard. It's like you don't want to go digging too much in case it's what the family wants is more privacy than to keep having to
Yeah,
relive it over and over again and stuff like that. Like if they're
which
not actively
definitely,
giving interviews or yeah.
yeah, which definitely, like you said, it could be why there's so little information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. What a noble goddamn reason to be separated from your fucking family. Like that sucks.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to end it with that because like kudos to her. Like holy shit. I don't think at
Yeah.
like 19 I'd be standing up in trial. Like when you Google um Kenneth Noye, like there's stuff about like him having ties to like fucking mafia and shit. Like it was
Oh my
hardcore.
god.
Um yeah. And there's a lot
Wow.
of like violence and like crimes that I didn't talk about. Um yeah, but
You covered a
yeah.
couple of badass women in your last few
Yeah.
cases. 'Cause also, the lady that got it was ironic the way you end up covering one that got
Oh, yeah.
kidnapped 3 times while working in service of others. And then I covered a girl who basically kidnapped herself.
Yeah. I guess I didn't realize that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I always get a little bit of a thrill when you pick a picture for the like thumbnail or whatever. Like if it has to do with my case,
Oh,
I'll be like, oh, she picked a little picture from my case. But I also kind of laughed when I was like looking at our Dias de los Muertos / Mexico
yeah.
true crime, and I was like, that's a good picture, but also she's like the whitest person ever, which is kind of funny when it sounds like it's all gonna be all about
Yeah.
Mexicans.
Well, because your case was about the day, and then mine was like
Yes.
taking place in Mexico, and I was like, well, I don't really want to put a picture about the Day of the Dead when it's like we don't really talk about it a whole lot, like not too
I
much, and then
know.
like
That's
it
true.
wasn't really like both in Mexico, and then it was like, and I didn't have
Yeah.
any super good pictures for my case. It was like, oh well, I talked about that one picture of her
Yeah.
like a little bit being like "fuck you," looking over his shoulder like that, like. And then it was like,
I did
you know
find,
what?
yeah,
I'm gonna
I
put
know
that
what you
as the
mean.
thumbnail.
Yeah, yeah. I did find some, there were some nice pictures of
Yes.
Digna Ocharo or whatever. Ocharo, Ochua.
Ochoa.
Damn it! But yes, I know it because I had to look it up. But I was like, oh, I did find
Yeah.
some nice ones of her smiling and stuff. And then someone did this nice um drawing in honor of her, and
Yeah.
I think I
I didn't
included
find
that one on our
any of those
Instagram.
pictures when I was looking online, but I saw them on Instagram. They
Oh,
look very
yeah.
nice.
Some of them wouldn't fit to the damn Instagram
Oh, yeah.
sizing. But yeah, there were some lovely pictures of her with her beautiful smile online. And I was just like, oh, what a woman. What a
Yeah.
badass. Ugh. All right. Well, thank you for that. That was awesome. We'll take a
Mhm.
quick break, I guess.
Yeah.
We are back.
Yes.
We're so back. Much as our computers didn't want us to be, or something.
Yeah. Some weird happened. I had to click the link to get back in after you like sent me this one. I had to click it like 3 times because it kept just like it was like you're loading into Zencaster. This is taking a while, and I was like, yeah, I know it is. Nothing's happening. So I'd like cl- close it and like re-click because
It's
normally it
taking a while. Thanks for
normally it
stating
comes
the
up.
obvious.
Yeah, normally it comes up like immediately. And it was like waiting. I was like, nothing's happening. So I was like, close. Click it again. And I was like, waiting. Nothing's happening. Close. Click it again.
I know. Things
Yeah.
don't work if they don't work immediately. We all know that in this day and age.
Yeah. Well,
But
sure enough, when
also,
I did it the third time, it came up like so quick I couldn't even read the screen saying it was loading because
oh
it had
my
loaded.
god.
So, yeah.
It's like, yeah, this one's weird. I've been really liking it. We like you,
Yeah.
Zencaster. You've been good. But sometimes just randomly when we go to start
Yeah.
recording, I guess. Yeah, then it'll be
Yeah.
like reloading and all of a sudden just kicks Kelsey completely out. We're like, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, see you later. No.
Yeah.
All right. We are recording though. Okay. Um, so I ended up on lovely list verse. Yeah, a listicle
Mm.
website. I could have had 5 or 6 horrible stories to tell you, but turns out
Right.
once I expanded on 2 of them, that was probably enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to say. But yeah, sometimes it's amazing how many damn stories there are out there for one particular topic.
Yeah.
Um, Funnily enough, the first one on the list that I ended up using was from Canada.
Uh, oh.
It's yeah, it's out of Ontario, and it was in August of 2012, the year the world did not end. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Oh my god. I do remember that. That's how people, like, to not quite the same extent, that's how people must have felt for like Y2K. Like,
I remember I felt that one. I was 12, 13. So yeah, I was
yeah.
turning 13 or whatever next year. So
I
I was
was
like
5.
I went to my friend's house and it was like a Y2K party. It's like, well, some of us think the computers are going to go back to zero, and some people might joke that they think we're going to like die or something, but we'll still have parties because come on. We know we're
Yeah.
probably just going to eat a bunch.
Yeah. All the wild people
um,
that racked up all the credit card debt and like all this stuff.
oh, okay, yeah. I don't even really remember that. I think because I think most people just acted normally. But I like
Yeah.
what it was. It's interesting learning about how it came about because that was from the Mayan calendar. They believed it was the end
Mhm.
of an age, not
Yeah.
the actual end of time. It's just they have a calendar that goes through these ages of like enlightenment, and that was, oh,
Yeah.
we're coming to the end of that age, and like people are just like, no, it's like that Parks and Rec when they're like, no, no, it's that end of days like cult or whatever. And he's like, oh, we'd like to book the hall
Oh.
for this day. And she's like, actually, we're busy. Leslie, nope. And then he's like, oh, actually, I think the apocalypse is going to come the Tuesday after that. And she's like, we're free
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, that's funny.
So accommodating, these doomsdayers.
Yeah.
Um, So, August 22nd, 2012, Alan Lucier and his 82-year-old friend are driving along peacefully at about 10 a.m. in the morning. Again,
Okay.
not a lot of backstory.
Yeah,
But
other than I'm assuming he's also fairly old.
Alan, he was younger than his friend. I recall reading about 55.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah. Almost a senior-ish, but like yeah, his friend was um older and he may have been taking him out to help him with some errands or stuff. I'm not quite sure. Um yeah, it's one of those where you mostly just get they give you the bare bones and I couldn't find a lot more,
Yeah.
so eh, you deep dive where you can. But um we do know some stuff. They left Crawford Avenue to head onto Wyandotte Street. I have that.
Oh.
But then a red Pontiac cuts them off, and Alan, who's a little irritated, honks the horn at them. But the car drives on, and so do they. So whatever, it's
Okay.
not really like that big of a deal. Yeah, we've all been there. There's a
Oh
horn
yeah.
honking. I did that a few times on my way home tonight when people stopped randomly to turn from lanes they weren't supposed to turn out of and things like that.
Fun.
Right, because it caused people to stop abruptly behind them and behind me, and it's like, it's really not safe. And honestly, if the person in front of you is doing that shit, it's your due diligence, I think, to honk the horn. But the person in front of me didn't honk their horn at them, so I did. I was like, they like stopped at the
Yeah.
base of that steep fucking hill coming uptown.
Yeah, that one's really, really bad.
Like, dumbass, you're not supposed to turn from the middle lane.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next they both happen to meet again when they pull up at an intersection near a Tim Hortons because we're in Canada.
Canada.
So if it wasn't a Tim Hortons, it was going to be a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of those too.
Yes.
Yeah. The red Pontiac car is now blocking the crosswalk. This is the one that cut off Alan's car.
Mm.
Then the pricks in the Pontiac start yelling at the wheelchair bound pedestrian that had been trying to cross the street. But because they were blocking the
Oh.
crosswalk, he couldn't quite cross.
Yeah, not safely, because,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't really cross in front because oncoming traffic.
In a
Oh,
wheelchair? No, it could be difficult too. And I
yeah.
know we've all been there where like you go a little past the stop line or whatever, and maybe you can't back up because the person in front of you has been so eager to go because that's how people drive
Yeah.
here. But like, yeah, I don't think this was that busy of an intersection if I had to guess. I think they didn't
Yeah.
have to be so far up there and could have probably pulled back. But I'm just speculating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, Alan, who was in the other vehicle with his elderly friend, was appalled at this behavior and he was calling out to them to leave the pedestrian alone so he could take his wheelchair and cross the street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like hello, don't be a dick. But that was enough to set the Pontiac guys completely off.
Oh my
They
god.
became
A
yeah,
pedestrian in the crosswalk, like when you're stopped at a light. Like, oh my
I know.
god.
It starts with just a little, someone
Yeah.
gets cut off, but then now it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. So as they get more upset and angry, the passenger steps out of the red Pontiac and approaches Alan's minivan window and reaches in, grabs Alan's hot coffee, and pours it all over his face.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Like, it's like out of a movie or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You can't, and they can't even be mad about, like, they aren't even the ones that got cut off. Like they were the ones doing
No.
the cutting off. So like what the fuck are they mad about even to
They're
begin with?
super aggressive for no reason.
Yeah.
And we're all
Wow.
like, we're in Canada. What is happening? Relax. Not that people don't get in fights, but like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't expect people to be that violent or like have a gun or shit like that. Or just, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody has a gun. It's fine. It, yeah. So, um, Alan, who just had his coffee thrown in his own face, got out
Yeah.
of his minivan to, I guess, try and defend himself. But it wasn't a great idea because he got tackled by the other guy, like picked up and slammed onto the ground. Who,
Jesus.
I mean, the assailant is half his age, to be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair. Literally, this is in Ontario. It's it's not in Letterkenny, but it's not far away, basically. Um, and then during the fray, the guy from the minivan managed to get on top of the other guy from the red Pontiac, but he's still more trying to defend himself rather than trying to be the aggressor. Um, So then Alan's elderly companion got out of the minivan to try and de escalate the situation, but the Pontiac guys just take the opportunity to get him down, and
Oh
I guess
my
the
god, no.
driver punches him in the head.
No.
So, yeah, like he's an old dude. And
Yes.
I mean, it's 2-on-2, I guess, but like, is this a fair fight? No. Um, they're these two young assholes.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus.
and they get, yeah, Alan is down, and they start kicking him as he curls up into a ball to protect himself. And then like once they're pretty bad, or like once Alan's pretty badly beaten, then the two get back in the red Pontiac and drive off.
Oh my god.
There's a picture of Alan after the attack. You can see his black eye.
Oh jeez. Hold up.
Yeah. So he had a black eye, cuts to his nose and face, and abrasions on his back and elbows. His friend's face was swollen, and he also had road rash on his elbows.
Oh jeez, I think I can see the picture. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's got like a mustache and a little beard. I forgot to look at. Now I'm getting distracted because I'm looking at your pictures, which I forgot to look at.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Okay. And on a tip, police were able to track down 30-year-old Wayne Schreiner and 21-year-old John Schreiner, his brother.
Schreiner, douchebags.
Yeah. Like brother. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about them. So I'm not going to dispute that. They were still like covered in blood from the attack when they were found, so that's kind of awful.
So they were pretty like they were found really quick then after the tip.
I guess. Yeah, they must have been.
Which is good.
I don't think Windsor is a huge city, but it's not like, yeah,
it's big
like
enough. I've heard the name
town.
of it.
Yeah, it's not a small town.
No.
It's not Toronto, but whatever. So they found them. They were charged with 2 counts of assault, and then the younger brother, John, failed to show at his first court date, which was a sentencing hearing. Sorry. So the judge had to put out a warrant for his arrest. It's like, damn, okay. Come on, buddy. And he appeared in court in February 2014, where he tearily told the judge he didn't realize at the time that he might actually go to jail for his actions.
I'm sorry. No sympathy.
He's 21. No.
I didn't realize punching an 80-year-old in the face would have any consequences.
My brother told me to.
Like, fuck.
Oh, I know. I struggle with the sympathy.
I've absolutely none.
Yeah. This came as a surprise to me, Schreiner said later outside court. I thought because of the effort I've been putting into myself and getting help that everything would be okay. I just don't think jail's the place for me.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to read it with a straight face.
Yeah, what kind of effort are you putting into yourself that you think it then is okay to like assault 2 people?
Yeah, this one's...
And yell at somebody in a wheelchair trying to cross a fucking crosswalk when it's their turn and you're blocking it. Like, oh my god.
They kind of seem like terrible people. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but who raised these kids? Who were their parents? Like, fuck.
Wait for it, because they're probably high.
Okay. Well.
He said, or to continue that quote, I just don't think jail's the place for me. It was a one-time thing. I made a mistake. I've been punished every day by that, by feeling bad by what happened.
I'm glad you say that you feel bad.
He feels bad. I feel bad for what I did, what me and my brother did. And that's from the Windsor Star.
Jesus. I always, like, recently I started doing this thing where I try and picture, like, the people we talk about sometimes that, like, show up in prison. And you know how like
Yeah.
people always ask, well, what are you in for? And that guy just like walking in and being like, what are you in for? I punched an 80-year-old in the head. Like, what the fuck?
Oh
Like,
my
what?
God, right?
You would be such a loser. Like,
Oh, either guy. They're like, I assaulted
fuck.
a senior. Cool. Yeah, you're gonna be right up there with the child rape is.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
No, it's gonna be like, oh, you go sit in the corner with like the people that sold a gram of weed and like fucking like the
Oh my
people that
God, yes.
like bullshit crimes where it's like fuck Jesus. Like
True, 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 true. I'm glad it's completely legal here. That is the one good thing we can say
right.
that Trudeau did for us.
Yeah.
But so after Schreiner's plea, Schreiner's, yeah, I'm still saying Schreiner's, and a request from defense lawyer Daniel Topp, Justice Greg Campbell gave the convict the benefit of the doubt and adjourned the hearing. Um, so his brother had just been sentenced to 60 days in jail and 2 years of probation. So that was because it's the two brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and they had no trouble sentencing the one guy. It was the other guy that then had kind of a panic attack in jail and had to be re-brought back in. They
Oh
both
my
will get
god.
sentenced though. Yeah.
Poor baby. I've had panic attacks. I have no sympathy for him.
Only time I don't have sympathy for someone saying they're having one.
Yeah.
They, or at least the one, was banned from owning firearms or other weapons for 5 years and must submit their blood for the National DNA Registry. And
Good.
at the
Happy
time,
about that.
yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Um, and at the time of the conviction, Alan said that his friend, which was the 82-year-old friend, he just didn't want to be named his friend, so
Mm.
we just don't know his
Yeah.
name. But Alan said he still hadn't fully recovered.
Jeez. Yeah.
Uh, quote, he's having trouble with one eye and his sight, said Alan Lucier, who was not in court. He's got a problem with the arm that he fell on. They put the boots to me on the road, and when it was all said and done, it was like I got the crap kicked out of me. No big thing. There are no effects now, but he does have some, end quote.
Yeah.
So,
It'd be like that could have like even just one punch to the head, like that could have easily killed him. Like punch somebody in the
one
wrong
punch killed
spot.
Houdini. One punch to the stomach when he wasn't ready for it. And ruptured his
Yeah.
damn appendix. But like the old guy, yeah. And like, sorry, his friend was okay, 30 years younger, but still not a spring chicken. And but I still like
No.
how he's like, they put the boots to me and I got the crap kicked out of me, but like I'm okay now. But he's like,
Yeah.
he's just like my friend. I'm just more worried about my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks. Jeez.
I know that one's shitty. Basically, the younger brother, John Schreider, said he was high on opiates at the time and doesn't think he should get jail time. So,
Who was driving? Do you know?
I don't think it's specified from what I recall.
Yeah. But like,
Just that
oh,
they were
cool.
both.
Then charge him for driving while intoxicated. Ah, sucker.
Yeah, they just said who. I just remember them saying like the driver kicked this one or whatever.
Yeah. Oh.
It's terrible. So when John started claiming an anxiety attack in court, needless to say, everyone was quite unconvinced at the time.
Yeah.
He started crying and asked for more time to see his parents, and then became so upset that they did actually postpone the hearing at the time. So had it later because he was just so upset.
That like
Yeah.
just sounds like somebody who's never faced consequences for anything that they've ever done in their life.
Probably, yeah. I need more time to see my parents. Why do you think they can get you out of this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. At 21, your brain has formed enough that you know,
You
like,
should.
not to physically assault people, and
Oh yeah,
know
exactly.
that prison is something you could face. Like,
Yeah, and they did. They both got 60 days in jail, which is not
that
a
seems
lot.
no, that's very low.
No, for like, I don't know. I would have thought that was like aggravated assault.
Yeah,
But I don't know what makes aggravated assault aggravated. Maybe they have to have a weapon or something.
maybe.
But like, hello, they're old. They're so much older than you. Most like the
Yeah.
youngest one was twice your age. Your hands are weapons.
Yeah.
Like, um. So this was a fun fact. Quote, "It's very rare that people who come into the system as a first-time offender go to jail," said defense lawyer Daniel Top. "But there are certain crimes that call out for it, and this is a glaring example." End quote.
Hmm.
Oh. And
I
Allen
mean,
said,
depending on the crime, I'd
"Yeah, yeah,
hope
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like,
True, true, true. Your first crime was murder. Yeah, yeah. You're if they can get you, you're probably going down for
they're
it."
like, woo, freebie.
Yeah, yeah,
First
yeah.
one,
But
first one's on the house.
right, right. But it's like for most people, at least the escalation is there, and they've
Yeah,
probably been looked at for something.
like my guy. Like,
Yeah, well, scary. Scary when they're not, because you're like, oh, great.
yeah,
He just seemed like a normal guy until he
yeah,
snaps. Um, but to end that one out, um, Alan said, "A couple young guys in their 20s didn't have any problem with knocking the crap out of a guy who was over 80 years old," he said. "I don't want to see
yeah.
anybody go to jail, but at some point you have to take some responsibility for what you do in life.
Hmm.
If there's a reason someone should go to jail, is there something better than beating up an old man?" End quote.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, like yeah, you deserve it then at that point.
Yeah,
And
like,
and
what
they
are
did
you in
at
for?
least they found them. Like that makes because
Yes.
it must be hard to track down people in that. Like that's what at least they got the tip or whatever that helped people
Yeah,
figure it out.
I'm
Probably
not
from the
sure.
car, you know.
Yeah, they could probably, if they had a description of the car, check out. I don't know how many like traffic cameras and stuff we have in Canada.
Eh, on the
Uh,
streets, like not
yeah,
a I don't think a lot. Maybe outside of a
yeah,
business to protect their
yeah.
doors, but
Because then at least you would have been able to get, if you had like a description or color of the vehicle and like a time or what direction they were going in, you could try and get
yeah.
a license plate or something.
I'm kind of glad we don't. It kind of creeps me out a bit. I did used to watch The Person of Interest where it's focused on how Big Brother can see you from anywhere and but whatever. It's more about how it's a machine designed to track out terrorists, but they end up using it because it'll bring up numbers of people who are gonna like get killed or like
Yeah.
be involved in some sort of a crime, like that damn Tom Cruise movie where they had the precogs that were gonna predict crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
I think I
Um,
watched a little bit of person of interest and then I don't know, it
yeah.
just like didn't keep my interest.
No, if you can get into it, I liked they had a lot of strong female characters that I really liked and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, you probably did have to get into it first. It
Yeah.
was because of you that I was able to stick with The Office. And I was rewarded.
Yeah.
Okay, another short one. Um, oh, that one wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But it is out of Las Vegas, where we have been just
Oh.
this year.
Yeah. Almost a
Yes.
year ago.
Oh my god.
Right?
It's almost December. That's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
we were there in February. This happened in February, actually.
Oh no.
Yeah. Of 2015. Da,
Yeah.
da, da. So, February 12th, 2015, a mother of four, Tammy Myers, is teaching her daughter, Crystal, 15, the basics of how to drive in a quiet parking lot near a park. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's their very first driving lesson. I can like super hard relate to this. I'm like, my kid is 15. I literally need to teach her how to drive.
Yeah.
Fun, fun. Um, we'll get her driving lessons because also with the stupid licenses in Alberta, technically on mine, I'm not allowed to teach her how to drive by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they had decided to just go practice in the evening in a parking lot so there would be less traffic around, less people to hit, all that sort of thing, you know. It's good.
Hmm.
Good idea. um and it's at about 10:45 that they finish the lesson and her mother gets in the driver's seat to drive home. So Tammy gets in the driver's seat and her daughter gets out of it, and as they left they noticed a silver car, a sedan that was driving very close behind them. Um from ABC News, quote, I just noticed that he was like riding our bumper. He swerves around us and I honk the horn, said Crystal Myers. She now wonders what if she never reached over and honked the horn on her mother's 1993 Buick. So she
Oh, so
honked
the daughter did?
from the passenger seat, I believe. Yeah. Um Later on, Crystal Myers said that the silver car suddenly sideswiped their car, and then the driver got out of the car and started yelling at them and threatening them. And he says, I'm going to kill you and your daughter. And he's cussing and he's raving, Crystal Myers said. I just remember that he had light brown hair. He had no tattoos or piercings, and he was just yelling and screaming. End quote.
Jeez. That'd be scary, yeah.
Yeah, your first driving lesson.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I know. They managed to drive off and make it safely home. Yay.
Yeah. But there has to be more.
Right? We're still so on edge. Um Once home, she drops her daughter off and Tammy picks up her son and his gun.
And his gun. Okay.
So she and her daughter Brandon and his or she and her daughter Brandon, age 22, take his registered Beretta 9mm pistol and return to the parking lot area where they began driving back and forth in front of the park looking for the other driver.
Oh my god, why?
I know. I just picture the parking lot by the park near my kid's school that I would pull into her whole time she was in middle school or whatever. Because it was
Yeah.
just easier to pull in there than the actual school parking lot, but it was right there. And I'm like, oh, a parking lot. It's such a safe place to be.
Yeah.
Except for here.
I mean, that's where I
Um,
learned to drive was a parking lot.
right? Like, where do you start with the basics? Just like the quietest place you can find. And that's what they were looking for.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, she goes back out with her son, which is obviously very deliberate. Like,
Yeah. Not good.
yeah, I just think like you were safe once you got home. Like, just stay
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, she gets back in the car with her son and they go back to the park where a silver sedan drives by and Tammy says to her son Brandon, "That's them, that's the guy who threatened us." One and there may have been up to 3 people in the original car,
Okay.
from what I read, but she was convinced the silver car was the one that had threatened them, and they watched as the car suddenly took off. So they decided to follow that vehicle.
No, oh my god. I'm just like flashing back to them saying you absolutely never ever pursue a vehicle. Like whether it's your own stolen vehicle, like whatever, you never pursue it. Like the police
I mean,
say.
yeah, there's just not a lot of good outcomes of that that I can think
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Like for safety reasons for yourself, you're not supposed to.
Right?
Like,
When you can't predict what the other person's gonna do, it's
yeah.
very
Like call the
dangerous.
police and leave it up to the police. Like,
Oh, yeah. And just why does everybody have a gun? Ugh.
yeah.
Uncomfortable laughter. I'm sorry. That's why I laugh. So they follow the vehicle. From within the vehicle, shots are fired. Brandon said they are shooting at us when his mom asks what is happening. So they give up pursuit, now frightened and trying to get away from the silver sedan and back to their home. They
Oh
give
my
up
god.
chase.
You
Yeah,
came with a gun and now you're scared of them because they have a gun? Like, oh my
I
god.
know. I know. And
Ugh.
the car follows them back into their street, which happens to be like my street, a sort of dead end cul-de-sac sort of
Mm.
situation.
Oh god.
So it's obvious, whoever's coming in there is on purpose.
Yeah.
But reports
Jesus.
varied on whether Brandon fired back, but some things I read said that if he did shoot, he didn't hit anyone, right? So
Okay.
he may have returned fire. And the person in the silver sedan opened fire either as they were pulling into Tammy's house or as she got out of the car, because it said one hit her in the left temple, and as she
Oh
got
Jesus.
out into her own driveway, she like fell down in her own yard. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Her daughter, that had been out with her doing the driving lesson, was watching from the
Yeah.
bedroom and saw her collapse on the front yard.
Wow.
I know. It hurts my heart. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition that night, and that was when police tried to figure out and locate these, identify these perpetrators or what the hell happened.
Okay,
Um,
so they had driven off again then?
yeah, they didn't stay at the scene that night, but um, I kind of wrote this in a way like, based on later testimony, here is a reconstruction of what happened on the night that she was shot. So, what we know, 19-year-old Eric Nausch, was it Nausch? Nausch Jr., a Las Vegas resident, was sitting in the park on the night of February 12th, uh, the night they all went out to dinner. So, he had been going through a little bit of a tough time because he was in the world of other drug dealers. He was dealing some,
Mm.
from what I know. But he was panicked and been threatened by some dealers he pissed off or someone who had threatened to kill him and his family. So he had had these threats against him where they had said, "We're gonna kill you, your family,
Yeah.
and skin your cat."
What the fuck?
So Isn't that fucked up? We love our cats here.
Yeah.
um, so he was basically like paranoid and kind of alone when he was sitting in the park by himself, possibly a little high, when he starts
Yeah.
seeing a car drive by quite a bit because they were driving by the park over and over looking
Yeah.
for the vehicle that threatened them. So he thinks this is the group of dealers who have a problem with him and they're coming for him. And he calls his friend Derek Andrews to come get him and provide backup if these were the guys who, I don't know, don't like him, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his friend Derek arrives and Eric, oh my god, Derek and Eric. I didn't realize. Because he spells Eric kind of weird. It's like spelled like Erich. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but they get into Derek's car, which happens to be a silver Audi. Um, so the vehicle that Tammy had an altercation with earlier had also been silver. So Tammy saw this vehicle and believed it to be the same silver sedan from before when she was having the driving lessons with her daughter, um,
Mhm.
that threatened her. So she started following them. She gave chase. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's so, I don't know, convoluted. I don't know. The two men in the silver Audi became frightened and panicked and eventually drew their weapons to fire on the Audi. And shots were fired from Eric and Derek's vehicle, and Brandon may or may not have returned fire, depending on what you
Yeah.
read. Yeah. But Tammy was hit in the head by a shot. Um,
Mhm.
and she ended up dying 2 days later in hospital on February 14th, 2015.
Oh shit.
Yeah, really shitty. Um, just like so unnecessary.
Yeah. Like completely.
It's so confusing, but like it's like basically like the worst case of mistaken identity that I can think of.
Yeah.
Um, Police ended up surrounding Eric's home on February 19th and arrested him after a 2-hour standoff with them.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, he didn't go down quietly. And as it turns out, he lived just 1 block away from the Myers' home. So from Tammy's actual home where she got shot.
Oh jeez, that's really close.
And
Like,
it's like, I didn't think of that, but then when I'm like, well, it should be. Like, I don't know, because I kept picturing, okay, what's a park near a parking lot? And then I was like picturing the one near my daughter's old school. And I'm like, well, it's in your neighborhood. Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Who goes to your things in your neighborhood? Like your neighbors. Like, but it's still
Yeah.
crazy. Um, the driver Derek was arrested a month later on March 20th. Um, I had a quote about defense attorney Conrad Klaus said he believes this is a case of double mistaken identity. He said Nausch, not Tammy Myers, may have been the target that night that she and her daughter were allegedly threatened, and that an unknown shooter thought she was Nausch, and Nausch confused Myers with the unknown shooter and tried to defend himself. It's like, okay, because Eric Nausch, was scared of people after him.
Yeah.
And then she had gotten into an altercation earlier with someone at a parking lot. But I think they're saying that maybe the person in the parking lot thought maybe they were getting into an altercation with Eric or something. But either
Well,
way, nobody really had a reason to shoot anyone else in that
yeah.
capacity, I don't think.
That doesn't really make sense to me because you said the driver of the other vehicle got out. and was like coming towards her and her daughter when they were in the vehicle, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
presumably
when
you
they were
would know
having the
it's
driving
not.
lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would
True.
presumably know that you're not in. You didn't just sideswipe a
Yeah.
19-year-old man in a car.
No, and it's all after the fact. I really
Yeah.
don't get the like, I'm so scared. We're at home now. Now I'm going back out and he's getting his gun to protect his mother cuz like it's like, okay, well you guys are
Yeah.
safe as I can think of cuz you're at
Right?
home and nobody is literally at your door. Like
Yeah.
how
Nobody followed you. Like,
no. Like this isn't for self-defense. This seems like for revenge.
yeah. It is very like taking the law into your own hands.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally vigilante.
Yeah.
But it's just shitty the way it just all
Yeah.
turns out bad. I had more quote where they said the facts seem to point to self-defense in this situation. Klaus told ABC News in an exclusive interview. It seems to explain the facts we have in front of us more sensibly than any other explanation. The evidence will show Mr. Nausch, in an unprovoked way, for stupid reasons, chose to drive down in a neighborhood that he was familiar with, and he saw two people and opened fire. Wolfson told 2020.
Well,
I
I don't
guess.
believe that it's self defense because I'm sorry, but even if you've
Yeah.
been threatened, somebody following you in a car and you're also in a car does
Yeah.
not give you the right in self defense to shoot at the other vehicle.
Presumably, anybody in a car could conceivably still get away from the other person pretty
Right?
easily. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
that person could literally just be driving in the same direction as you. I've had days where I've
Yeah.
taken like 6 turns and driven down my street, and the person from 6 turns ago is still
Oh
following me
my
because
God.
sometimes it just happens. Like,
I find it always
yeah,
happens when they're the slowest drivers. I'm like, how are you still in front of me?
yeah, right.
But totally, totally. And um shit. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say something else, but yeah, it's just totally self-defense. Oh, really? After
yeah,
anyone
no,
got back in a car and, you know, basically went looking for trouble. I don't know. I just
yeah,
okay, we're not done yet though. We got to get through it. It is complicated and it is a sad one. I don't want to like make light of it, but
yeah,
um sh- mm. Okay, so eventually I don't know if I have it in my notes, but they had to take Tammy after she got shot in the head off of life support and she passed away.
mm,
So, um, she ended up dying. The family moved out of the home the following year to try and start a home with some happier memories. And
yeah,
they did find Eric Nausch, who was charged with murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy, to which he pled guilty at first, but later tried to withdraw that plea. Also, he said, I've never been in trouble in my life after his life sentence was handed down. Um,
I've never been in trouble, but I'm a drug dealer.
did you look? I did put a picture of him on the drive. He's very, very scrawny.
Yes, he looks like the tiniest little
He looks like
19-year-old.
a
Like, you've never.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It just is so confusing feeling wise sometimes to me when I look at the pictures. I'm like, do you know what you're doing? Um, okay, another article said he pled guilty to second degree murder with a deadly weapon, discharging a firearm from a vehicle. And his accomplice, Derek Andrews, 28, had pled guilty to one count of voluntary manslaughter and accessory to commit murder, whereas he got 5 to 15 years was the only definitive thing I could find.
Oh, okay.
So, honestly, I tried looking up those things. If you can look up people that are still in jail, I couldn't find either of them. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know if I didn't know if I was using it properly. That was the first time I
I
tried to look up something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never even thought to try looking someone up before.
I had heard of it on different podcasts. I'm like, federal government. Oh, okay. I don't know.
Weird.
You could like look up by prisoner name, and I tried by name and didn't get anything. So I don't know. Um but sorry, it's from their point of view, Eric and Derek, I guess, said they were just trying to flash the gun to scare the other vehicle off and became panicked when they ended up super close to Eric's house, he said. Um, but as you recall, I said they were like basically neighbors. So I think that was just kind
Yeah.
of coincidence. But Eric had apparently been carrying a gun for protection after being robbed several times. He had been dealing drugs of his own admission, and the Daily Mail even suggested Tammy had been buying prescription drugs from Nausch and went back to find him after a deal gone wrong. So, I don't know.
That's just like a
It doesn't.
totally different story from like anything else we've
Except,
heard.
yeah. Literally, this one article I read said that, and it was like, this neighbor said that's what the word on the street is. Tammy was trying to
Oh
buy
my god.
drugs from him, and I was like, oh, I don't. Okay, sure. Then why is all these other stories talking about like a
Yeah.
road rage incident and then, cars and confusion? Like, um, so Eric said, quote, "My intentions were to take someone bad out, not a loving, caring mom," Nausch said in a nearly 3-hour taped interview last year obtained by the Associated Press. Quote, "My intention was to take someone who was going to hurt my family out, not someone's mom, not Tammy."
Hmm.
And the husband, Robert Bob Myers, who was Tammy's husband, said, sorry, I'm laughing at Gordo doing whatever
Yeah.
he's doing.
He he came in carrying a toy in his mouth, dropped it, and then just started scratching at the scratching post.
Fenrir
He's
dropped
so
his
funny.
damn bone on the stairs earlier, and it was like
Ah!
hovering, like it was gonna fall. It was like teetering on the
Nice.
um oh yeah, Robert Myers, he's very upset about it. He says, "Am I going to forgive you? Never, ever. Neither one of you will get my forgiveness, and especially Eric Nausch. I hope for me and mine, you burn in hell and you get what you have coming to you today because you, mister, are an animal." And yeah.
I mean, I can get that, but at the same time, like, your wife and your son went out for in like almost the intent of like, let's cause some shit. Like,
Yeah, I feel like perhaps at the time they were starting to interview him, he could not get out of that place of grief where he could recognize her culpability in it, because not to
yeah.
victim blame, but like you literally I'm laughing at Gordo.
I know. He's back to cause some shit.
Flashes across the
Yeah.
screen.
Oh my
Um
god, buddy. Fucking stop it. I'm gonna kick you off the desk again.
all right, I'm good. I'm almost done. But uh Damn it.
So
Yeah,
annoying.
it just sucks because, like, oh, yeah, you don't want to victim blame, but you're like, that was not the right decision if you didn't want to escalate
No.
things to go back out looking for a car that pissed you off earlier. Like, and I don't know
Yeah.
that her husband could see that when he was grieving so hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Been like,
ugh.
yeah, I would have like contacted the police because I mean, if there's damage to your
If you're
vehicle
that
and
worried,
stuff,
yeah,
yeah,
that's what they're for.
contact the
Exactly.
police, give them a description area, they can try and find the
Mm-hmm.
vehicle. Especially if it is a park, like we kind of said, it's like neighborhood people. It'd
Yeah.
probably be pretty likely you could find the vehicle.
Well, and you wouldn't go back if you didn't think you could find it. That was the part that was to me like almost the most bizarre. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go back and try and find this vehicle that was there earlier. You're like, oh, okay. What makes you think they're still gonna be
Yeah.
there, or were they just like
When,
sitting in the parking lot? Like,
yeah.
so weird.
And it's funny because it sounds like it happened when both the vehicles were leaving the parking lot. So it's like, yeah, I wouldn't assume that vehicle would be like in the parking lot again.
Yeah, at no point if she took her out in the evening
Yeah.
in a parking lot by a park. They literally said there was going to be less people out there. Like, we didn't want to bother anyone. So it's like, how high stakes could it be that you guys both had to like follow up on it? I don't know.
Yeah,
It is really sad though.
who's gonna be left in your park? Like weird people and drug
Right?
dealers, and that's who you ran across. A weird drug dealer.
And I don't even know if I've said it, but like before they went out for the drive to do the practice, they had been out
Mm-hmm.
that evening to celebrate Tammy's uh whenever she was a mother of four. The daughter
Yeah.
that she took out driving was the youngest. It was one of the older brothers' birthdays that night.
Oh,
That's when
jeez.
they went out earlier.
That's awful.
Yeah. And did I say, yeah, they had to take her off life support. She did die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was like, I don't know, I feel like my notes are all over the place. So Crystal, the youngest, and who was out there that night, she ended up starting homeschooling. Quote, after she said bullying took a toll on her, and she is still dealing with feelings of guilt. Um, I ask myself, what if we didn't go, or what if I didn't want to go, or what if I never honked the horn? Crystal Myers said. It probably would have been different.
Well, that's not the part that matters in the story, in
I
my
just
opinion.
so
Like,
feel for her with her like her felt guilt for this, you know?
but like honking the horn and that
No.
driver is not related to the other driver. Like,
That's true. No, that's true. And just honking your horn at someone like should not be enough to have
yeah.
retribution of death. No, like none of this should
No,
have
and it's not
happened.
even the same person. So, like,
No, it
it's like two
wasn't.
totally separate incidents that the only common denominator really is like the mom. Like,
Yeah, it has never been like solved, quote unquote. So like it could have been completely two mistaken identities where like
yeah.
Tammy was like, "Oh, this guy threatened us near the park," and then once she goes and drives back around, she sees or Eric sees her and he's like, "Oh my god, she's on to me. She's after me." And then he comes after like their car and is like,
Yeah.
"Bam bam," right? And but in the end, they didn't even fucking know each other, probably. It was just
Yeah.
completely bizarre. So
I'm
and
sure
it's
they
just
probably
like
looked into it, but like they could confirm because if you sideswipe somebody, well, technically, like if vehicles make contact of any kind, there's almost always like paint transfer, which they can tell like the type of
Hmm.
paint you have. So if her vehicle was
Okay.
sideswiped by a silver vehicle, technically they'd be able to pull that information and match it to Derek's vehicle. And if it doesn't match, then they were not involved at all in the first situation. Like, I assume they may or may not
Yeah.
have done that. Like,
Yeah, because I didn't even know if they said actual contact was ever made, which is what makes it so senseless. Or, like, you know what I
okay.
mean? So wasteful when you think about it. It's just like road
Yeah.
rage. It's just like people's ego. It's just like, did anyone's car even get hurt? Like, not even that we know
Okay.
of.
I
So
thought
everyone
maybe
could have
her vehicle
lived.
got damaged, so she's trying to like track down the person and stuff.
Not that
But
I even read.
yeah, no.
Didn't even
No.
read that.
If
It's
that
like,
happened and nobody touched your vehicle, like, stay the fuck home. Like, don't
oh my god.
even.
You know how many times on the way home I like almost get hit by somebody?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy driving here. But
Yeah,
it's so
no.
sad. Like I'm so sad that someone actually like fucking passed away and ended up
Yeah.
dead earlier than they should have. I'm not going to
Yeah,
call it a
that's
murder, but
terrible.
it was a terrible, terrible tragedy and like an accident
Definitely.
basically.
Yeah, it was definitely unnecessary for like the
Yeah.
situation. That's
Oh yeah.
wild.
No, nobody like was like I want to. He was like I literally wasn't setting out to kill somebody like a mom of four, which means he feels regret and was like I think he was just
Yeah.
more scared for himself. It's just like ugh,
Jeez.
what kind of a fucking world do we live in nowadays? With like it makes you glad you're in Canada sometimes, but doesn't mean we're my first case was in Canada and people got beat up, you know what I mean? Just because we don't have as many guns here. Like, these problems are everywhere. People are so angry. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we kind of talked about it. I think when we mentioned the topic last week that we were going to be doing this one for this episode of like
Um,
road rage is like some of the scariest cases. And
mm-hmm.
like, especially for women, I kind of said, like, you don't know who's in the other vehicle. Like, you don't know what their reaction is going to be, whether it's violence, they could have a weapon, they could follow you. Like, you don't
Yeah.
know. So, like, just, you kind of have to just be like, protect yourself and just like fucking drive away. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if it means driving away from the scene of an accident, then drive away from the scene of an accident, but drive to a police station and then immediately report the accident. Like,
Yeah, if it happens to be that. No, I totally get what you're saying.
yeah. Like,
I think I've heard ones where like, oh, road rage, and then who ends up actually hurt in the end? Sometimes children, which is so
yeah.
horrific.
Or the other side, it's almost always the person that's the victim that's now trying to like do
Yeah.
something. Like,
Right.
because they don't want to let them get away with it or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, that's
yeah.
cool. I just got like basically run over. Like as a
Yeah.
cyclist or something, which that happened to a friend of mine. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you have to be so careful. And in the end, yeah, just like care about your own physical safety as opposed to like your vehicle or like something like that.
Yeah.
Like, because, yeah, there's worse things to lose than like,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Oh my god, people are literally
so
insane.
terrible. Yeah.
You watch
Crazy.
on my way home tonight. Oh, okay, that person's gonna turn. Oh, okay, so this person's gonna try and get out of their lane because they don't want to wait for that person to turn.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh, you trying to swerve out of your lane? Well, somebody else is in that lane. God damn it! Just wait a second.
Right?
So dangerous. I literally watched almost an accident, and then like, if nobody beeps, I'm like, well, hello, that's an idiot move. Like beep.
Yeah.
You gotta
I'm
learn.
I'm happy on my drive home. It's literally like 3 intersections in like less than a 5-minute drive, and
Oh my god. So good.
I'll like encounter like that was almost an accident. Oh, look there. Like,
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. Idiots driving here in Alberta. Yeah. I didn't know how good I had it driving my piece of shit car 20 minutes to the, at West office. That was so much closer to me. Now I have to like cross the river, go all the way across town, which in
Yeah.
Edmonton is it's a big city. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I feel like
My
I take
dad
my life
said,
in my hands every day.
"You do. Yeah, you really do when you're driving." My dad always said his favorite thing was when a vehicle got old and sort of beat up, because then you just stop caring, and then if somebody's just gonna like cut in front of
Yes.
you, you're like, well, okay, like it just happens. You're like, oh my god, oh my god. You're just kind of like, yeah,
Well, that's all I drove before was a fucking piece of
yeah,
shit car, so I felt like, yeah. I'm like, don't you fucking try me. It's
yeah,
not your turn. No. Not like I'm
right.
dangerous, though. Like, I do not. Yeah. I'm like, you fucking pay attention to what you're doing, you crazy people.
I'm like, I don't
Anyway.
think I told you, but I told my dad.
Yeah.
Uh, some people call it brake check, where you like suddenly stop in front of somebody.
Oh, that's so dangerous. I feel like
I
people are
didn't care.
doing that with me all the time.
Oh, I had a lady that was driving so close to the back of my vehicle after she followed me in
Oh.
a left turn that I
Oh.
could not see any part of her hood. All I could see was her windshield in my back window. She was that close to me.
Oh my
So,
god.
and
That's
you
so
know, to like,
dumb. And if you hit the
yeah.
person in front of you, then you're gonna be in trouble. So, like,
Well,
yes, I'm guilty of
there was
that.
nobody in front of me. So if she hit me, it's 100% her fault, even if I stopped for absolutely no reason.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be her fault.
So I
Ugh.
waited because, you know, to like pull into my alley, there's that stop, and a lot of people don't stop because there's like the stop sign,
Yeah.
like maybe like 10 feet ahead. So
Yeah.
I didn't put on my signal light, and I put on my brakes like pretty suddenly, and then flipped on my signal light, and all I hear is "Brrrr!" And I just gave her the finger in the window. It was just like, yeah, like, and she had to swerve to miss me, and I loved it 100%.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. You're bad.
Well, she was so close, I could not see her
Yeah.
hood. Like, she had
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
a
You can
few
feel when someone's
inches.
on your ass. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was
Yeah.
she followed me for a block and a half like that and wouldn't let up, and I kept checking in my window like, if she lets up, I won't do it. No, no, she's not letting up.
Oh.
Okay. And I just slammed on my brakes. I was like, I don't
Yeah,
care.
no, that is the worst. You're like, you can
Like,
tell someone's driving dangerously beside
yeah.
you or close to you, and you're like, you know what? You're the idiot. But
Yeah. I was
yeah,
like, I don't
yeah.
even care. You can rear end my vehicle. I'll get a new back bumper. I don't give a shit. Like,
Oh, I hate people when
yeah.
they're just like they like go into the other turning lane and then they put their signal light on though, and I'm like,
Yeah.
really, really. I'm like, I figured out you were turning by the fact that you got in the turning lane.
Right. You already turned. Yeah.
Oh my god, yes. I know I'm getting loud because I'll get upset. No.
Yeah. I was like, no, I don't care.
It's a jungle out here, you guys.
Yeah.
So we did pick a topic for next week.
Yes.
Yes. Before we
We
sign off.
yeah, we're doing Japanese folklore and
Yay!
legends and stuff. Should be
Oh
plenty.
my
It's
god,
like
yes. The first like list I found was some creepy urban legends. So, yeah, I might be going in
oh,
that direction.
fun. I
Yeah.
might try and find like historical stories or something like that. Maybe.
Ooh.
It's like,
Yeah, it's going to be good, I think. I didn't realize
yeah.
it seems like they have a lot. I just briefly started googling things to write down, like, topic lists, topic ideas, and then it was like all these creepy sounding ghosts. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, should be
Cool.
good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, till next time.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hi. Hello. I see it moving. Okay.
Oh, it does look
Yeah.
different now. Now it's going
Yeah, like when I'm
as we
talking, you can
talk.
see it move. Yeah, because mine, it wasn't moving at all when I... Gordo, stop. What are you doing? You don't know what you're after. You're like... He like got up and is like intently just staring at the corner of between the two walls. Like, what do you want? I'm stealing the Kleenex box because you're being annoying. I don't know what he's doing. Move your tail. Yes. Oh my god, Gordo, stop being like such a little shit right now. You're being so annoying. Now you're just like hitting the mic with your tail. Oh my god. This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.